When you hear this framing, can India become the third largest economy? Do you feel we're asking the wrong question? Should it really be, when will India get there? And if so, how will we get there? What are the two things that will help us, and what are the two things that could halt us?
India will become the third largest economy in the coming few years itself. It's not a question of will it become. It's certainly, that's a certainty that will happen. It's a question of within next few years, we will definitely become the third largest economy. What's working very well is the last decade of very transformational change which has happened in our country, and it's a very well thought through, well defined and very focused execution. It's built on 4 pillars: the pillar of public investment in physical, digital and social infra, the pillar of making sure that the entire society grows along with the growth of the country, so very inclusive growth. Third, the pillar of manufacturing and innovation. Fourth, the pillar of simplification. All this combined with the base of technology that we have put, we can very clearly say that India is going to grow with 6 to 8% real growth and a moderate 2 to 4% inflation and a nominal growth of 10 to 13% with 95% confidence interval in the next 5 years. So that's the kind of growth journey which is there, we can say with a lot of confidence. And what's working very well is that the entire society is seeing the benefit of it. When we look at 540 million new bank accounts opened, when we see 130 million toilets getting constructed, when we see 800 million people getting ration every month, month after month, that shows that the security of the poorest comes as a priority for our government, for Prime Minister Modi ji. And that has helped us bring 250 million people out of poverty. So these two factors, a very well thought through growth path, very inclusive growth, are going to be very good for our country. What's really a matter of concern on our minds is the global debt which is there in the rich world, the huge amount of debt, the mountains of debt in the rich world, how that debt will unravel. What will be the impact? We saw yesterday in Japan, there was a run on the bonds. So that kind of thing, if it happens on a very large scale, what will be the impact on our country is a matter of concern. Otherwise, everything else is in a very good shape that we will become the third largest economy in the coming years.
Okay, so we'll talk a little bit later about what other things that you are doing to insulate us. But now on to you, Geeta. Do you agree with that? Is India's ambition to break into the top 3 a reality? What's your view?
Without a doubt, India will become the third largest economy of the world. It's a matter of a few years, unless something catastrophic happens. If you just look at the math in terms of India's growth rate relative to Germany and Japan, it would be very hard to see how India would not get there. And based on current projections, India gets there by 2028.
Wow.
It could be even sooner than that, depending upon how the revision of the GDP numbers happens at the start of this year, I guess relatively soon, what happens with the rebasing. So that is not the challenge for India. The challenge for India is not about becoming the third largest economy in the world. The challenge for India is about raising per capita incomes to higher levels. And indeed, I agree with the minister that substantial reforms have been undertaken. The physical infrastructure build out is impressive. The digital infrastructure build out is impressive. What was done with the goods and services tax, including the simplification recently, extremely helpful. So to keep the momentum going and to keep raising per capita income and getting to the 2047 goal of Viksit Bharat, I think that's the challenge. And that will require keeping up with the steady pace of reforms to get there. But again, lot of positive developments in India, and very important is the macro stability that you have in the country, not just with growth where it is, but also with inflation being at the low, single-digit numbers. That is a good spot for India.
So you have said earlier that the two things that could hold us back, one is land acquisition is a little bit messy, deregulation, and you have said we've not really used our demographic dividend to to its fullest. So what are the things that you think we can do to fix some of those?
Yeah, I think a little bit messy is probably an understatement. It is a tremendous challenge in India to acquire land, to have clean land titles. And that is a constraint on growth. It is a constraint on manufacturing. Again, there are states in India that are experimenting with techniques that other states can also adopt. I think Andhra Pradesh is doing a good job in finding very creative ways of helping with selling of land, shifting land from being agriculture to commercial land. Land titling, again, pushing on that is important. Judicial reforms, I think, are absolutely critical. That is a very important bottleneck for growth in India, and it's been there. I think people have seen it as a long-standing challenge, but we're not seeing many changes in that front. In terms of the labor force, you're right. We've been talking about the demographic dividend in India for a long time, but if you look at the contribution of labor to growth in India since the 1980s, only about 30% of India's growth has come from labor. So it is a fairly capital-intensive production structure that India has because of the rules and regulations that exist and the complications of hiring labor. Now, it is a very positive step in terms of implementing the labor laws that were passed by Parliament a few years ago. I think that's great. The states need to take that and go ahead. Raising the limit on the number of workers above which you face higher regulation from 100 to 300 is good. Though if you want to be a part of the big global supply chain, you're going to have to be way more than 300 in terms of the size of the labor force that you have. So pushing on that front is important. Labor market flexibility is critical. On top of that is the skilling of human capital. I think that is a very important part of the solution too. It's not just about the fact that firms aren't creating jobs. There is a mismatch between what jobs can be created and the skill of the labor force in India. So pushing on that front in terms of the level of education and human capital and skilling, super critical.